Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live. So tonight we have Robin from Robin Gardens. Hi, Robin.
Hi.
We have Chris from Veggie Plot. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Nice to have you back on. Hi, Jamie. Welcome back. Jamie's from Jamie's
Oh,
Allotment. Lisa Skilton. I've just said Danny late again. This is a work of art. This piece of live, and we're trying to get it all perfect. No, I was chatting about Christmas presents and things. So welcome back, everyone. I'll quickly try and go through some of the names. Let's go. Hi, Debs. Hi, Mel. Hi, Kerry. Hi, John. Hi, Mark's Allotment. Hi, Mags. Hi, Debs Veg Plot. Hi, Wendy. Little Jen. Hi, Christine. Little Green Shed Allotment. Hi, Claire. Hi, Tilly at Heaven Sent Allotment. Colin Jones. Siggy. Jersey CI Dave. Easier every week. Jules Garden. Allotted Shelf. Nathan. Hi, Jean. Nice to see you on. Happy New Year. Andrew Earl, A Day in the Leaf. A Day in the Leaf, I still need an email off you as well regarding coming on the live because I got you slotted in from a long time ago, but I still haven't. I need to get back to you about the date. Leanne, Anna, hi, Jim Reid's Beds Garden, Annie's Kitchen Garden, Border Plotter, My Garden, the Dinosaurs Who Live There, Mags, Lisa Gypsy, a Pro Amateur, Digwell Green Fingers, AD Veg Garden, Ammanford Allotment Newbie, David Skelly, Carrie Ann, RF, Rachel, her name is RF, Malcolm Hill, Moorside Gardener, hi Jenny, Martin's Giant Veg and Flower Allotment, Barry Morgan, Pete Trenner, A Video Diary. Whew. We got it. I've made sure I did this first because last week I was chatting away for ages and the list was forever, but I've got through it anyway. So, so thank you so much, everyone, for coming on tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about sowing and growing, some tips and tricks from some fellow YouTubers. I'm sure Robin, Jamie, and Chris has got 1,000 tips. Chris is forever throwing tips out on his channel. Chris, you recently done a video I seen where you were you did loads of jobs and stuff. So
yeah.
Are you up to date now? Are you all ready for spring or?
No, I think I'm always running to catch up, as you will know tonight, trying to get on the live. But it's all coming together. It's just a bit slow. We had the tree blow down at the end of the garden. I don't know if you saw that a couple of videos ago in the storm, and that's all being fixed up and chopped up and taken away. But yeah, I'm doing bits in the polytunnel at the minute.
Oh. Jamie, did you have any damage through the storms, Storm Dara and all the other storms we've
Thankfully, no. I was quite surprised. There was a little bit of like a fence, like one panel, and my fence blew off, but I had a couple of screws and it was back on, so there was no bother at all.
That was lucky.
What about you, Robin? Have you been okay through the winter?
It's been a very mild winter. It's cold,
lucky.
Pretty snowless, but we have sunshine. That's the trade-off. It's always colder when the sun is out. When it's gray, it's warmer.
Whereabouts are you, Robin?
Northwest of Chicago.
Northwest, right.
I just want to say hello to Lisa Skilton as well, who I mentioned earlier. She just said I missed her out the list, but I apologise. Also, there's many more others that have come on now as well. So hello, Julie at John's Allotment, Lisa White, hiya, Mel's Veg, Allotment of the Dead. Nice to see you on. Jersey said Dave, and Pete Trenner, Video Diary. I think I mentioned those two anyway. But yeah, so are you all ready for spring though? Are you all? I'm still ordering seeds. I still got piles of things to do. Chris, I've started filling out. I don't. So yeah, I need to order a new one of these actually because I had one. I was told I was having one for Christmas of a friend, and then when they arrived, it wasn't. I think they made a mistake, but they forgot to give me the planner. They just bought me a normal planner, but
yeah,
right. I'll be ordering another one because this one we'll talk about it later anyway. I got your calendar here as well. Which
you don't have to do any of that. You've done that before.
I do. You paid
no.
You paid me £40 to mention that tonight. What do you mean?
I thought it was more than that.
Yeah, that's all I had after tax. But yeah, no, we'll talk about that later. Of course we will. Let's say hello to Linda as well. Linda, just be warned now, if you're eating a banana or anything, you're coming on now, all right? Hi, Linda.
Hello.
Thank you
Hello,
for moderating
everyone.
again tonight.
You're welcome, Danny.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone in the chat, say hello to Linda. She's
Hi all.
you've had a sore leg, haven't you, Linda? But you're getting through it now.
I'm all
You're
right.
plodding on. You know, right?
Your allotment's looking amazing,
Limping
Linda.
along fine.
I know. Look at Linda's a lot.
Look at her allotment for this time of year. How'd you do it?
I know. All them flowers out.
Wow. That was last spring. I need to do an up-to-date one, don't I?
Linda,
Obviously,
you don't
the
want to do an
spring
up-to-date
flowers.
one. You
Don't
don't
I?
want to do an up-to-date one. It'll just be dirt. And a couple of grasses.
Leave it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. Oh God. So thank you so much for moderating tonight, Linda.
That's okay.
We'll see you in a bit.
You're
Any
welcome.
snacks for tonight?
No,
Any
I
fruit?
haven't long had my tea, so I'm not hungry.
I'll
I've
be
had my
watching,
cuppa.
Linda.
I've got another drink there now for later.
Everyone's saying hello to you in the chat, Linda.
Oh, hello
Right.
everyone. Oh, lovely to see you all online.
Linda, you'll be coming on a live soon again, I'm sure, before that we finish them off before spring, I'm sure. So
That'd be nice.
hopefully.
I think.
All right, see you in a bit, Linda.
All right, see you later. Bye.
Bye.
So let's talk about sowing and growing tips. So Robin, what would be your number one tip that you would say for a new person growing? What would you suggest that they? I'm throwing you on the spot now, aren't I? But what's one of your tips that you do when you first start sowing for seeds in spring?
Oh, but you want for a newbie, right?
Yeah.
Just do it. You got to get your feet wet. You got to try it. You're going to fail.
Yeah.
You're going to have dampening off. You're going to have other problems, but you got to try. And the other thing is really watch dates, because you get on YouTube and you get really excited to start things because maybe they're in an area where they need to start it, or other circumstances. Don't be in a hurry, because those plants are going to get too big inside, and you'll be disappointed with the outcome.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I remember when I first did onions, and I had the Vitapod set up. I had the right compost for it. I had the right seed. I put vermiculite on the top, and I still had like little gnats that ate all the roots, and I'd over nurtured them to the point where this year I'm just pouring them in some soil, and as soon as they come up out of the soil, they're going straight over the polytunnel because they were too warm in the house, I think, and they were going too big and leggy, and I was cutting them, and I thought, but you learn from that, don't you? I mean, that's the whole point. Like, as a YouTuber, we're not professionals, but we are pretty much the same as everyone else, except we're filming it, and we make mistakes as well. But I think it's nice when you show those mistakes as well, because other people watch your channel sometimes and they think, oh, they've got it sorted, and we haven't. We're like a headless chicken sometimes as well, and things don't go wrong, and they also do go wrong as well. So, you just got to embrace it either way. And next year will be the year that you'll try and master that, and then something else will go wrong. But
I think there's always that pressure, isn't there, from seeing other people, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, to keep up with the Joneses type of thing. But actually, if you're a real newbie, you need to hold back a little bit, not get too excited, and throw all the seeds into the ground at the same time, because you're just gonna.
Yeah.
And there's one thing one of my neighbours said to me. I've mentioned him previously. He's 83 years old, been gardening since he was a teen. And one thing he said to me,
you might know Jane Kelly. You might know Jane Kelly.
Yeah, maybe. But he said, start writing everything down. He's got diaries dating back to the 1960s with days when he's planted. So he planted his peas the same time religiously since the 60s. He's done his carrots at the same time. And he figured out the perfect dates by writing it down and saying, right, that didn't work last year. I'll change it by 2 weeks, or I'll change it by a month. I
think I'm gonna have to be more vigilant with that, and I agree. But there's also times where the world changes. So, if I did exactly the same as what I did when I first started, my onions would have been out way earlier than they are now. And
I think that's what it about writing things down is that you
the
can
weather as
say
well. And
that was good that year, not that year,
yeah,
great that year, and then you can adapt all the time. Doesn't mean you have to religiously stick to it. I mean, when you get to 80 odd, obviously you've got things pretty sorted, haven't you? But
Yeah.
we hope.
I don't know how he does it. The way he turns his garden, like he's got a full size. I don't know how many poles it would class as, but it's a really big garden, and he's always out digging it. Like half of it's all fully dug over and limed, ready to go. And I don't know how he does it, to tell you the truth.
That's pretty good at that age, isn't it?
That's
Retired.
passion, isn't it? Yeah, you're retired as well.
Yeah.
You know, you're always learning. Like this year, my big learning was fennel. I always have a problem with it bolting. I mean, I have some success, but you know, and then I was on Audrey's channel and everybody in the chat was talking about waiting until the summer solstice to plant.
Yeah.
So I tried that this year. Plus I got myself an F1. Oh my gosh. Game changer. Summer solstice, F1.
Cauliflowers. F1 cauliflowers.
Oh, you get on, Chris. You had lovely cauliflowers last year.
They were just extraordinary. Never happened to any luck before ever. And there's F1s.
But that feeling, though, you know, when you really do succeed, it's incomparable, you know. Like you really do feel like I'm a master in this now for this time, and then you do it the next time. You think, what's gone wrong this time? But I think there's so many variables in the garden fighting and battling you. It is a war zone at all times, isn't it? Really, I know that sounds dramatic, but it really is. If one thing's not trying to get in the nets, something's coming in through under the soil, or something's biting through the nets, and then there's other things. Then you know you lift those nets off for a second, then they're already the bugs and all grubs are already in the soil beforehand.
I think the rain really helped last year as well. I mean, the amount of moisture we had, that really helped brassicas last year. So.
Yeah, but then when one thing, you know, you master one thing, you fail another, because if there's too much rain, it's good for some things, but it's also bad for other things, you know. And it would, you know, that's what I think. I honestly do think that's why I actually had carrots last year. I keep saying this year because I'm still adjusting, but I think that if it was the year before, it was really, really warm spring. I was struggling to get those carrots to keep the soil to keep damp and to sow and grow. And yeah, I just think you'll never have the perfect environment for every single vegetable.
No, that's true.
There's no such thing, you know.
No.
But we try our best, and we deal with the little crops we have, and then we embrace the big crops.
You had some good leeks, didn't you? And good beans last year, I think.
Yeah, but beans. They were amazing. But yeah, again, the year before, it was really, really warm in spring, and they took forever, and they were very on the grapevine plot. They were very, very, you know, straggly. The beans were okay, but not as many as I had this year. You know, but I'm planning on I'm hoping this year will be just as good, and I'm going to do a mass amount of beans because I want to store a lot of them. So fingers crossed. Yeah. Are you trying anything new this year? I know I've seen a few people are going to try the, you know, growing in straw bales, a bit like how Digwell Greenfingers did it. But I'm not doing that because I feel like it's going to be messy.
I've seen lots of videos on that in the past. I haven't. No, I probably won't. Not that one anyway. Not straw bales.
There's some questions. Jamie, how are your chickens going? Someone's asked. Pete.
Doing really, really well. The chicks will be ready to move in with the main flock shortly. We just need to try and move on 4 cockerels, which will be fun. And then the 8 rescue ones are coming along brilliantly. They've settled really well.
Oh.
And then the main flock are doing fantastic. But it's just chicken maths. We wanted like 5 chickens. We've currently got 26.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of eggs a day, isn't it?
Considering we don't actually eat that many eggs as well. Yeah.
I know. I agree with you. Like, I miss having chickens, and I will have chickens again. But
you allowed them on the plot?
Yeah. On our allotment, we can have 12, a maximum 12. Is there?
As long as ours is registered, I don't think there is. Obviously, as long as they're in a good condition, you know, they're well looked after, they've got adequate house and adequate run. I don't think there is like an actual cap on it, you know.
Yeah,
we're not allowed them. No livestock.
Is yours like a parish or type?
It's like a
Or is it
town
private?
sort of allotments, yeah. So, but there are just sort of, I think it's rented
Yeah.
off the church. So I think there are
Yeah,
sort
I
of
was gonna say
limitations.
some that are on church land or like parish type land have got their
You've
own
got
set of
to
rules
say.
because legally you're allowed to have hens on any allotment, aren't you? Unless it's classed as private land.
Right.
It,
It's
yeah.
actually in laws. I can't remember the paragraph or whatnot, but
Something
Okay. Go on.
something new I'm trying is potatoes from seed.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Will that be the following year though?
Nope.
Can we
Same
have a
year.
look at the seed, Robin?
zoom in
I
on that.
always thought seed was actually mini potato.
No, I mean, can we see the actual seed inside? Is it tiny?
Tiny. Yeah.
Really?
Huh.
I didn't think that was such a thing.
Well, not too. All right. Let's see.
So is it because I thought, well, this is wow. I'm a little bit. That's made me
They're
think. Now, like,
they're
what's going
small
on?
potatoes. They get to be about an inch or an inch and a half. These are ones that are real creamy tasting, and they use them for potato chips.
Wow.
Mhm.
You get all the fun things, Robin. We don't get none. Robin, I'm still harvesting the garlics, and also we had these
Oh,
mystery.
they're pelleted. They're
Wow.
pelleted.
They're so small.
So they are. So I don't need to
Oh,
lose them. So they are very small. Wow.
That can really help with growing and germination, can't you, pelleting? Or is
Yeah.
it purely just because they're tiny?
I think it's because
Helps with
they're
the germination.
tiny.
It helps with the
Yeah,
germination, as
probably.
well, isn't it?
It
But
said the packet has 12, and it said normal germination is 9. You want to try it, guys? I'll send seeds. Jamie, you up for it?
well, you know me, Robin.
We're going to have a
Danny,
potato
you up
grow
for
competition.
it? All right. I'll
Um,
send. We'll do a
I
little.
would guess that those seeds though have come from that little green poisonous pod thing, right, Chris? Do you think?
I've never seen them before. I must admit, I've never
So
seen
you remember,
seeds.
you know, on a
I've
potato
seen the
plant,
flowers and things and stuff you
and
get on the top.
then it goes to like the little. You have those little like green like cherry style things.
I guess so.
I'm guessing they'd be inside there.
Yeah.
So let's just check. Nobody's saying about it. Oh yeah, so the British homestead, she said the same thing. Potato seeds are in the green berries, Danny. Yeah,
Yeah.
so because my brain was going, where would these seeds come from? But that
Yeah.
would make sense. But they're very, very poisonous, and they're those green potato style things because they come from the same family, I guess. Jim's raised bed garden has asked, I planted my garlic on the Robin. I'm guessing this will be the 12th of October, not the other way around. And it's not shown up yet. Should I give it up? No. Well, I've still got some that haven't come up, and I've stressed about it. And I think it depends what variety for one. But I've noticed that the giant, well, what are they called? Elephant garlic. They always take a bit longer as well. But mine are starting to pop up. The others are up. But I would give them a little bit longer, Jim. But if just in case, I'd plant some more anyway somewhere, or put some in pots and put them outside, so still getting the frost just in case. And if they are duds, then you can plant them in the area. Then I suppose.
You can always start them off in cells as well if you've got
Yeah.
the greenhouse and get them going in there and then put them out a bit later. But they do need a bit of cold to get splitting,
Yeah.
so don't want to leave them in there too long.
No.
Sort of
Mine
dig a
don't.
little bit and see the roots.
Yeah.
Just to see if it has set off, maybe. With
Yeah.
that. Or
Yeah.
Because sometimes they send the roots down, don't they, to get
First.
established, and then they'll
one of
start.
my elephant garlic did that. I sort of dug a little bit to see because I couldn't.
Good
The other
old-
garlic was up, but the elephant garlic was nothing, and there was just like 3 strands of roots. So I was like, "Oh, I'll cover it back up," and they're up now, right? So
Yeah, I think just be a bit patient, Jim. But I would plant some just in case. But it could be all the rain we've had. But I just think, well, let's hope for the best.
Yeah. But here they don't show yet. You know,
Right.
they won't show until spring, and I
was
don't want them to
overjoyed
show
with the
until
frost.
spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the thing. People get really excited when they put out their onion sets really early, and they're like, "Oh, look, they're like this long." You're like, "No, you want them to grow as slow as possible." But you know, everyone has to learn from somewhere, I guess. But yeah. So Jim, good luck with your garlic. Hopefully, they come up for you. Let us know. Margaret Alice has asked, what's everyone's first sowing minus spinach year in Northumberland? Robin, do you want to go first?
Well, I am really going to do more winter sowing, and I had excellent luck just doing it right in the earth, and it was so easy, to put those milk jugs right on top and do it right in the earth where it was going to be planted. And I did arugula, which is rocket, spinach, and bunching onions first. I had great success. I'm leaning hard into that this year. So easy.
Sounds good.
What about you, Chris?
I'm not sure what I'm going to plant first. I want to split some rhubarb and I'll force some rhubarb. So that's sort of propagation. I know it's not sowing, but I want to get that done. I will be putting out the garlic very soon because they're now in the polytunnel. They've all shot up.
You've
And
not planted them out?
the garlic, no, I left them a bit late. So they've been sitting in the kitchen since last year. I've just used my old cloves. So they've got to go out. And the red onions aren't up yet, but the sensu yellows are. So they'll have to go out soon as well. But they're all in the polytunnel at the moment.
What about you, Jamie? How's the tunnel? Are you still loving the polytunnel?
It's really good. I mean, it's a bit of a bomb scare at the moment at the back end, just where I've had to move stuff out of the shed into there.
Tell me about it.
But I've got some cabbages away. Hopefully they'll sort of be ready for planting out once the around February, March time, I think will be going out, maybe something like that.
Are they summer ones? Are they? The spring. Do you mean spring cabbages?
I think they could be, yeah.
No, you could plant. Do you know what? I planted outdoors and indoors to do a comparison this year, even though I used to always do outdoor and constantly be battling slugs and other pests and be putting one in and add extra ones to plant in. And that bed is absolutely decimated. It was netted over, but it was still decimated. So the ones inside the polytunnel, they're like this big now. So maybe plant some of them in the polytunnel, but the ones outside, they're gone. I don't know what happened to them. But you've sown your onions already, Jamie. Anyway, I've seen your latest video.
They're sort of giant. No, hopefully they're going to be giant anyway.
The Elsa Craigs?
Yeah, and then I did some giant exhibition. I'm not sure the variety of the giant exhibition, but I did them as well. So hopefully they will be giant. If not, it's just normal onions. But
yeah, it is what it is, Jamie.
Yeah,
I think those are the Elsie, AILSAE for Pete's challenge.
But I think we call them. Well, I've always called them Elsa Craig. Is that what you say, Chris?
Yeah, that's
the Elsa Craig is a different one. I've gone Elsa Craig. Yeah.
Right.
Ellie's
so you've done one called. So you've done another one for the challenge, and it's a similar name. Mm-hmm. Oh right. Okay. Sorry.
Elsie, AILSAE.
Oh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mine has been. I've sown onions. I've done my onions. And I've also, oh God, if anyone's seen my video of what to sow in January, it was a list and a half. But I just wanted to point out though that some of those are going to be sown in January, but that doesn't mean I was going to be sowing them at the start of January. Some of them are specifically for the end of January and can be sown in January, February, March, and some I'm doing because I've got some grow lights and things. So plus I'm not growing any chilies, he says, but I'm still. I'm itching at that box. I keep looking at the chilies going, you could do one or two though, Danny. Do you know what I mean? But I know
it's always one or two.
It'll be 12 and 20, you know, and this room normally by now is, I don't know if anyone's noticed, there used to be a shelf here, which is there now. The two other shelves at the back, I've even removed them out of this room, so I don't see them empty. Excuse me. And thinking I need to put all seed trays on them. So I'm trying to be a bit more sensible, and I'm just going to buy a couple of chili plants and maybe sow a few. But I'm trying not to. But you get tempted, don't you?
I don't do too many because how much do you need? I mean, a plant can give you so many, can't it? I'm growing one or two, and that's about it.
I threw a big bag out in December because I needed room in the freezer from 2024, and I thought, why are they still in here? And I mean, how many chilies do you honestly buy at the supermarket? And then at the end of the year, you see all us YouTubers going, we got 9,000 chilies to harvest and process. Who does that? You know,
Yeah.
only us. And then we
Yeah.
encourage other people to do it. And then it's become a bit of a chili cult.
Well, they're very prolific, aren't they? They really do
Yeah.
chuck out the fruit. They're amazing.
I'm putting my foot down and I'm saying I'm not doing it. But I am going to try other things because I've got the grow lights. I am going to start my loofah seeds off in the next week or so. But yeah,
Did you multi-sow your onions, or are you sticking just to one off per?
So
they do grow quite well as multi-sown.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Only if I only sow them in threes, I've noticed that's okay. If I do more than three, the bulbs seem to be really small.
Mm-hmm.
I sow them early all together. Let them go on like that for a while, and then separate them out later.
All right. I did that on my leeks last year. That was the first time I'd done that.
How did you find? How did they turn out?
Well, I split them up much earlier, and I trimmed the tops off. Someone I follow on Instagram suggested it, and they're the best leeks I've ever had. They're fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think it's just because they had more room to grow from a younger age. Normally I let them get to pencil thickness in a big pot, but this year I split them up much smaller and planted them individually. They did so much better.
I've always had huge success with leeks of just the one corner of the polytunnel that gets the most sun. I always literally just run them down like carrots all the way down, and then I just do one row of each. And, ask Linda and all like that. They come out beautiful. They become beautiful. And all I do is, it's a bit like when you sow them in module trays, except they just left. They have a little sprinkle of water, or when I'm watering the plants above, the water runs down. And then afterwards, I just take them out. And I think years ago, they used to do something similar where they used to heel them in. You remember they used to just put all their crops in rows and then for later on planting.
Right.
But I just literally leave them in there, and then they grow and grow until they're pencil thick.
Would you have to thin them out then when
No,
they're like that? Or would you just
don't thin them out at all. I just literally on the one side of my polytunnel, I just do like 3 foot, probably about 2 foot long, and I just do a little tiny thin sprinkle all the way down, and they come up beautiful every year. I do one row of each. I still do some in a pot because I always feel like, if people want some, I can give the pot away or whatever, because we always have new plot holders in spring. And that's how I met Linda. Do you know what I mean? Because Linda was new on the plot. Didn't you, Linda? We met over leeks. We did.
We certainly did, yes.
Met over a pot of leeks.
Yeah, and they came beautiful, didn't they? And you had some back.
And then that year I had a terrible allium leaf spider issue, and I ended up all the leeks I gave to other plot holders. All through winter, they kept saying, just help yourself when you want one. I feel like they felt like they had to, because everyone else had beautiful leeks except for me.
They were lovely. They came really
nice. And
nice,
I find that
leeks.
sometimes I give all my extras away and they have lovely crops, and I'm watching them go,
Did you net them last year then in the end? Or if you had that problem, not had the problem again?
What happened was I got cocky because on the grapevine plot, never had no problem with allium leaf miner. And I used to leave all my leeks. They were hardly netted. Maybe sometimes I used to at the start, and I never did. And then I moved up to the fig and olive plot and did it there. Big mistake. They were decimated.
Just never know, do you?
No. So lesson learned, and yeah. But I always just sow them in the polytunnel in a row, because you're not using the polytunnel at the start of spring anyway. And they come up like little spring onions. And if I need to thin them out, I just pick them out and I just chop them up and put them in a salad anyway. And I think they taste lovely. Someone did ask.
Do you sow them deep, or you never?
Maybe just like an inch underneath the soil. I just literally just use my finger.
I'm doing like Chris said. Let them get pencil or almost that much.
I can never get the pencil thickness in a pot. Never.
I go, I'll put them out in the garden, but just all in a clump. But I go deep because I want a lot of white, blanched white on my leek. And then I'll just dump them in that dibber hole, let the soil just kind of naturally fill back in.
Same.
And then I get a nice long white
Yeah.
and on my
Yeah,
leek.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant when I sow I'm only probably like an inch deep, but then when I plant them, God, 6 to 8 inches, and they go
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, they came lovely, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could get him to Australia if I wanted to, if I had long enough fibber. Someone did ask something similar in you as well. So Tina Welsh said, "Can I still plant garlic to use as wet garlic?" I'm guessing. Do you mean wet garlic is green garlic? Does anyone know if it's the same thing? So we'll just guess that wet garlic means green garlic. Now, Tina Welsh, if you watched my last video, I talked all about green garlic extensively for 6 minutes. I should know. I edited it. But yeah, if you haven't planted your garlic now, there's still time to plant garlic. But you might want to
Yeah.
you might harvest it a little bit later. Gonna be knocking the place around you. Oh, I really didn't know that bang then, but if not, I've said this like a couple of years now that those tiny small bulbs when people just chuck them on the side and all, I do the same sort of thing. I just run outside in the garden and I run a little maybe 2-inch deep hole like a trough, and I sprinkle all those tiny little garlic cloves in a row again, cover them over, forget all about them, and then through the late spring then I'm just picking those, and they're like a row of thin garlic grass, but they're obviously pencil thickness, and they're perfect for like stir fries and things like that. You just got a garlic flavour
Nice.
spring onion, and you're using those little cloves up as well. So yeah, and
it's a good idea.
It's worth doing, you know.
Yeah, I've got loads just sitting in the kitchen in a bowl, all the small ones, which are it's beginning to shoot, aren't they? It's just mad. So yeah, I should probably do the same thing.
But I've seen someone, Chris, just they put them all inside like an egg pot. You know, we used to do a cress with a little bit of water and a little bit of tissue.
Right.
And I've seen them cram all of those in there, and then they just grow the shoots and they just chop them off like a haircut and then just use them that way as well. So
right, like a chives or something like that. That sort of thing. Yeah, like a green.
You remember Linda? Do you remember the spaghetti haircut things that used to have?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
But you had hours of fun on that, Linda.
No, I didn't, but I know what you're talking about. I never had one of those, but yeah, they look good fun, didn't they?
Yeah. Thanks, Linda.
I'll see you later. Bye.
I feel like I like having that little bonus guest in the background. She also keeps an eye on the questions. That's well, Sandy, and she's not bad to look at either. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I got Steve Digwell in the background. I mean, he's a face for radio. That fella, he's there now. He's starting to go.
So seed viability is something else I'm doing right now with all my old ones. I just printed this off a few years ago, a chart that shows how long seeds are good for.
Oh, that's a clever idea.
Some of them is quite amazing, isn't it?
I keep it in my seed box, so I've always got it handy. But then to make sure that some of the stuff is viable, I do it a couple of different ways. The baggie, the Ziploc bag with the paper towel, wet it, squeeze it out so it's wet, but it's not soggy. Put it inside the Ziploc, and then I'll put it on a plate. And here in the States, we have forced air heat. I know mostly you have radiant heat, right, in the UK? And over top of
like I know what you're on about, Robin.
Well, the forced
radiators.
Air vents.
Right. I was thinking, that's what we have.
Yeah, and I'll just put that on the top to keep it warm, and then check my viability on the seeds to see, if 5 out of 10 germinate, then I've got a 50% germination rate. So I know I need to use that seed, but I need to put more of them down. Or I also have used these little they're from Takeout, the little containers, and then this is a makeup cotton. Fits perfectly down in the bottom.
We've all got those, haven't we, Jamie and Chris?
Loads of them.
Thousands of them.
You got girls in the family, you've got loads of them.
Yeah. Bet Linda, Linda, I'm gonna have to have a pinch a couple of them off you, Linda.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what works for me. You could put paper towel on the bottom of this.
On eBay.
Yeah, and those work great for seed germination testing.
That's a good idea.
So if you put 10
things though.
So if you put 10 in, you get a 50% germination rate. Does that mean you're going to sow twice as many
Mhm.
just to
Make sure, yeah.
make sure?
I feel like Chris's mind's ticking over now. He's thinking that'd be a good page.
Well, I've got
That would
packets
be-
and packets and packets of old seed, and I've got
Have
to
you
kind of
thought
decide
about
this
putting-
year.
Have you thought about putting a page in here of some seed viability, Chris? I mean, that would be handy for next year.
Yeah, that would be handy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
Good
you
idea.
need to have at the bottom, credit by Robin.
and Danny. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, let's have a look at some more questions. Oh God, that's a big question. We'll ask that one in a minute because we'll talk about potatoes in a little bit. Someone's just said I got a red line by a comment. What does it mean? A red line.
I think that was.
What does that mean? I don't know. RF. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that line means. Where was that question we were just about to ask? Where can I get some walking onions from, please? I bought mine from eBay a few years ago. I know Linda's grown them. I feel like I'm putting Linda back in. Linda, how did you get on with your
Yeah.
walking onions? Did they stroll or did they run or did they just crawl across?
They were okay, but they didn't grow very big. I
They're
bought mine
not-
on eBay. They wasn't really worth bothering with. I've still got some left there, but I don't think I used them in cooking after because they just seemed
I
a waste
didn't
of
want to
time.
tell you at the time, Linda. I didn't want to tell you at the time, but I felt exactly the same because you was excited about him, and I
I
remember
was
I was
really excited about these walking
I
onions.
felt like I was
yeah.
going to come over one day, honest to God, they'd gone into the geraniums and it didn't happen. They don't bloody walk at all, you know?
They
They're
do.
the ones
don't
that have
they?
the little
they do
onions
in a
on the
way.
top,
They
aren't
go.
they?
Yeah, and they're
They get
little.
little
They are.
onions on the top, then the weight of them then bends them over, and they go down onto the soil. That's what That's why they're called walking
And then
onions.
they grow and then they move. So I understand the idea
Yeah,
of
but
why
when
they're
they're
called
big
walking
enough,
onions.
mine were quite soft.
Mm.
Unless I left them too long. Did I
Maybe.
leave mine too long? I
But
wonder.
I felt with walking onions, I don't know if anyone else did in the chat, they were smaller, they were tiny anyway, so they were handy
They
if you.
were
But
small,
I would prefer
yeah.
to grow Welsh onions and use those rather than the walking onions. I felt the walking onions they took a lot of space up for what they were.
Yeah, it wasn't
And
worth
you
it.
don't
I
get
don't
much.
think.
You could have planted onion bulbs in those and had a proper onion, couldn't you, Linda?
Yeah.
So
I think I would rather do that next time.
You grow them for the onions then, do you grow them for the greens, or is it?
No, if you grow them for. That's what I mean. So I think what
Yeah.
happens, the seed drops down, and then you harvest the bulb from that was left. But they're only the size of.
Yeah.
Oh, the one in the ground is still small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I-
like it's a novelty thing, really, because you see all these
It
like
is.
little, instead of going to flower like normal onions do,
Mm.
they just form little bulbs of little onions on the top. It's quite, it's a novelty. It's nice to grow.
They're almost like a
ones,
perennial, I guess, are they? They just
Yeah.
keep
Yeah,
getting
They're-
bigger,
in
or-
a way.
Chris,
Steve-
I felt that the green onion tops were tasty, but the bottoms, I never found them to be tasty. And to
Right.
Danny's point, Ishikura or something, the flavor
Yeah.
is so much better.
I agree. But I do agree though, Linda, for a novelty thing, or if you want to do it with your children, something like that, they are fun.
Yeah.
But for an allotment where space is valuable, they lasted 1 year for me. But also Steve Cobble just said they're also called Egyptian onions. Yeah, Egyptian walking
Oh, that's
onions.
right. They are too.
So
Yeah.
Tina, if you want to try
Egyptian
them,
walking onions. Yeah.
have a go. But in my opinion, I think you could be using the space for something better. But again, they're fun. It's personal
Yeah.
preference, isn't it?
You've
So,
got
yeah,
to try
try
these things
eBay.
once, haven't you?
You have. Thanks, Linda, for your walking onion expert. This is walking onion expert. This is.
I'm not an expert.
She is an expert. Tina Welsh, you og in the chat you are tonight, love. She said, "What is Welsh? What are Welsh onions?" Well, I believe they started. They're not. Well, funny enough, Tina, your last name is actually part of it. So I think they did originally start off as Welsh onions, which is the same name that you've got. They're not actually Welsh, but we stole them. We stole the name, and that's what we're saying. All right. It's just a British thing to do. I think we steal things. You're not having your jewels back. You're not having your Welsh onions back, and that's the end. Start some controversy in the chat. Yeah, they're basically like big spring onions, but they're annuals. They're perennials, so they come back every year, and they're quite thick and chunky. You just keep chopping the tops off and using them for spring onions. I've got a lovely patch now that I've left for a year and a half in the herb garden. I'm hoping this year will be the year. They do take a bit of time. You could buy seeds from, so have a little look. I'm sure, Tina, you've already looked. You're already on one of the seed pages now. I'm gonna look, but you can buy Welsh seeds, Welsh onion seeds, and they are great. Robin, I think I promised to send you some once.
Still waiting.
Yeah. I hope Annie in the chat because she sat there now going, yeah, and my elephant garlic. And I keep looking at Annie's elephant garlic as well, though, because I got a bulb for her, and I also planted some in soil, and they've grown. So I'm wondering whether or not I should just put those in like a cardboard tube and send them to her. And she's already got them about 3 months in advance growing. So yeah,
Good
but
idea.
yeah. So maybe try some Welsh onions. We'll leave it at that. Yeah. What are you talking about things to try new? Like, have you all got to your point now where you think I've got the right varieties for my allotment? I'm not changing my mind. Or Jamie, what about you? Are you still
Not at all. I mean, I've just done my first proper year, so I'm still right at the very beginning of testing and seeing what works. I mean, the peas, to be honest, I'm going to stick with my peas for the time being. Because I had an abundance of peas. I couldn't get moving at one point for peas.
Well, funny enough, Cheryl just asked, "What's the best pea variety?" Someone ate any peas that grew last year. So, what was a success for you, Jamie? Have I put you on the
peas
spot?
for sure, and well, I can get the variety up. I'll just have to do it. Wow, right. Peas and cucumber was really good. I couldn't tell you the cucumber though. I got it off a neighbor. He had one spare, and he basically said, "Do you want this? If not, it's going on my compost."
Hey, Linda, be on that compost heap. Let me tell you now, she'd have that in a pot before the end of the day.
Me and my son were eating them. I was giving them to the neighbors. I had an abundance of them, so I'm going to have to find out what variety it was, so I can then grow it again this coming season. Because it was just chucking cucumbers at me. It felt like.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? Have you got old faithfuls now where you think that is what I'm sticking to, or are you trying a few new ones? Because you always try. You're always looking for things new and quirky to try. And that's why I love your channel. You always make me spend money.
Every time tomatoes. I like to try and find new tomatoes every year. That's a great. And someone from the States sent me 11 or so amazing.
Any new names?
Seeds. Yeah, some I was able to choose, but yeah, I've got some from here actually.
Ooh, wow.
So yeah, some really interesting ones.
Look at Robin; she's getting excited.
Hold that up again.
All right,
Robin, you're gonna have to watch the live again. No.
So yeah, I've got all these to try.
Wow.
Try next year. I've never tried any of them, so I'm
next
looking
year
forward
or this
to
year,
that.
Chris?
Hey,
next year or this year?
This year.
Oh, you said.
What did I say?
Next year.
I do backward as I am. Yeah. So that's that. I would also many years ago I grew ground cherries or Cape gooseberries in the greenhouse, and they were delicious. But for the last few years, I've not grown them, so I really want to get some more of those again. That's what I'm looking forward to this year. What
was your best pea variety, though, Chris? What do you?
Hurst Green Shaft are the ones I now grow. Yeah, they're really nice, really good. Good long pods, and you get lots of peas in.
Ooh. Where's she off now?
Robin,
I hope you know there'll be.
He's going to grab the seeds.
Robin, I hope you know there'll be two perverts pausing that video around about this time. 7:45 on the video if anyone want to, and if you send me a couple of quid, I'll send you a link.
God.
Good Lord,
I was just trying to see if I still had some ground cherries to send Chris.
Oh,
I found some
Robin,
on
if
Vital
you want to add a
Seeds.
couple of mine as well. I'm gonna do ground cherries.
You've got some coming already, Chris?
Well, I just saw some today. They're because the ones I grew before grew to about, I suppose, 4.5, 5 feet tall, and they're massive. But I found some called Cossack pineapple from Vital Seeds, and they're much smaller. wider. And
I've got some Aunt Molly's. If you want some Aunt Molly's ground
Okay.
cherries.
Yeah, I'd love to try
Yeah,
some.
Okay.
Robin, do your magic, will you, love? Do your magic. I always, you know what? Sometimes when the post comes around about January, February, I always look at the envelope and I can tell straight away if it's Ali or if it's Robin. Ali's normally got a swear word on the front. But you always can tell. And you know what? You'll open Robin's, right? Honestly, it's like a summer's day and you go in, they're all perfectly labeled. Robin, you're just great at it. You know, you're a good seed dealer. Right. Chris, while we're talking about seeds, and are you prepared to come back on just before we start sowing our tomatoes? Because I always feel like you're the best person to have on for tomato varieties, and you was on last tomato one. And
Did grow quite a few last year. It's I'm trying to slim them down. I do like a top 10 every year, and I do flavor tasting for them, as you know. But yeah, I do try and find new ones every year. I've probably grown 20 to 30 varieties this year. So I mean, that's nothing compared to some people. Some people are up to 80, mad. But
God, I know.
I tried Lucid Gen because of you, and it was our favorite.
And good,
even next door neighbor was in my little tasting, and same thing.
They look beautiful too, don't they? Amazing.
Such an amazing taste.
Yeah.
I know Nick over at that British Homestead. She and also Ali and Trish at the Right Pear Plot. They were growing so many tomatoes, so many. You know why I get scared when I see that many tomato plants? Because I always think it's not about the harvesting; it's the preparing afterwards. I always think it's summer. I'm boiling hot, and I'm there with the cooker on, boiling all these tomatoes.
You can freeze them. Just chuck them whole into the bags and freeze them.
I'm doing it this year. Gem in the garden. Why she showed me at the end of the year, I do not know. But I'm going to be freezing a lot of them and then sorting them out then in the winter months. And then Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, I've got bags of them in the freezer. Yeah.
Pete Trenneth has asked, if I plant strawberries in hanging baskets in the polytunnel now, will I get an early crop? Yes, you will.
If you can keep the green fly off.
Really?
That was the trouble I had. I tried one year, I had about 12, and they were just covered in green fly, and it was awful. Real disappointment. But I've seen some people do really well.
What if you put like a net over it though, Chris? Or
I suppose I could do. Yeah, I just sort of gave up. But I've got. Yeah, that's what I want to get some new bare root strawberry plants.
Did you leave your Did you plant them up in spring though, or did you just bring them in autumn and plant them up? Because I'm wondering whether or not there was like eggs in the soil or whatever, and you've kept them safe. Because I know Malcolm Kingswell, he used to purposely leave his hanging baskets out at the back of his plot, and they were just chucked on the side.
Right.
But then, kill everything off. They'd start there, and he used to have lovely strawberries in baskets. But I had beautiful in the last year, so I'm going to be doing. I've got them hanging up now, but I need to do some more really. So I'm going to be over Linda's in a couple of weeks. They've been hanging on around her plot for a long time now. And
do you put those gel sort of pellets into the compost?
Done that, but I haven't done it this year because obviously I'm putting that watering system in, so I'm thinking I've spent about 3 weeks in November trying to design this watering system so that it doesn't just only water the bottom beds in when I have the tomatoes in summer. I want it so that they're long enough so that I can lift them up and put them into hanging baskets, or I can put them into troughs. So I'm trying to make it so I can use it all seasons.
Right.
So I know, Chris, if you ever come down this area, you should pop in spring or something, or summer.
That'd be great. Yeah, I might do it at some point this year. Yeah.
Come down and have a look at the gadgets, and bring a pile of stuff. Bring a pile of tomatoes.
You could run a drip line along the top and have teas off, couldn't you? Coming down.
Well, funny enough, that I emailed them and asked about this, and it was awkward because they replied back saying if you'd opened the second box, you'd see that there's 40 of them. I was like, oh, all right, I'll have a look. But it's all ready now. I'm itching that box. It's 2 huge boxes. It's a hefty bit of kit, but I can't wait for like March time now to really get that automatic water system out, because I think that's going to be the game changer for my channel for for time, because I'm forever strapped with time in the summer. Watering, that's my problem I have. It's not, I know everyone's in the same boat, but I really do struggle for time as well.
No, you've got such a huge polytunnel, you're going to really be busy this year unless you do. Yeah.
I know, and I'm trying. I'm really, and I measured the other day as well to see how many tomatoes I'll get in and stuff. And I keep thinking, right, just stick to 15, Danny. And I've already counted up all my tomatoes that I want to grow. And Ali then have said, I'm going to send you a pile of tomato seeds.
You're going to grow something else in there this year, then, as well as tomatoes.
So I've decided in the greenhouse that's going to be the chilies and the peppers. I am growing a loofah plant over the one door. And I don't know what else to do. I'm going to try aubergines, eggplants. I'm going to try them again this year. But I don't know. I got so much space that I don't want to waste it.
You
but
could get hundreds of tomato plants in there.
Well, I am copying a few of your ideas and designs. Like I've got some of that metal gridding already. The middle bed is going to be hopefully where I can shade it off a little bit as well and grow things up there in spring. So, yeah.
Loofah that you're growing, is that like the shower loofah?
Yeah. No, I'm going to call my Martin Luther King. That's what his name's going to be. Martin the Loofah.
Everyone seems to love it. Is it a real challenge to grow? And I mean, those things are so damn hard and rough. I mean,
you got to have a lot of heat. That's what they like.
Claire from the Farmyard Garden, I'm not telling you now, since she grew them, her skin haven't been better. Honestly, it's took 20 years off her.
Literally.
She's just started a paper round. She's just started a paper round now, she has. But yeah, she grew them and she grew them successfully in the polytunnel. So I actually grew one and it was a beautiful plant here and I was so proud of it. And I kept one. I was brutal. I culled all the rest. And I foolishly, the plot holder's gone now, but they messaged me privately and said like, "Oh, Danny, have you still got those extra tomato plants? I'm going. They were leaving." And I said, "Yeah." And I think it was for their relative. And I said, "Pop over. They're labeled on the pots. Go in the polytunnel. They're in the middle." And they took my loofah on accident. It was gone. It was too big. It was in Birmingham somewhere. It'd already gone by the time I realized. Oh, I was so upset. But what can you do, hey? What can you do? So this year is going to be the year I'm going to grow a Martin loofah.
I've seen some people grow gourds as well, which they then turn into bird houses and things.
I bought those last year as well, and I don't know where those seeds are gone. I bought the bottle gourds. I know.
Bottle gourd.
I've seen a few people doing those as well. They're good though. You grow them and then you hollow them out, don't you? Well, I think they actually grow hollow, and then you just drill the hole. So
make a note of that.
Yeah. But I have a go with them. I know I bought mine on eBay, I think, Chris, and they were quite cheap. Right, should we just do it? We're going to rip the plaster off. What potato varieties are you growing this year? Now, Robin, you're going to throw the spanner in the works for all the viewers, and they'll be like, "You what? What are these names?"
Okay, I'm growing these Clancy's from seed. I'm growing the Adirondack Blue and the Kennebec and something else.
But something else.
And something else. I don't remember.
I always find you always do potatoes that none of us have ever heard of because of where you're from.
Maybe.
And I've always found that. I never. Do you have like Charlotte potatoes there? And
it's not something that you hear commonly.
You haven't lived, Robin.
I think Sarpo, the Sarpo Miro is probably the one we can get that you guys do pretty.
Sarpo's quite good, aren't they, for blight and so on? I grew them for a few years, but they just weren't quite as nice as, say, a Charlotte, as you say.
So,
don't ask me, because I have no idea yet.
Mine's really simple. I've got two varieties. I'm doing King Edward and Maris Piper. I'm keeping it simple this year on the potatoes.
Jamie, that is keeping it simple.
Yeah, but I decided I did different ones last year and different times and stuff, and I did like first early, second earlies. I'm just keeping it simple on that front. I'm going to test in bags in the ground now.
I try it, but I know I went to the garden centre and I looked over and I knew
Dangerous
all of them out.
place.
It was Tony O'Neill who I weirdly, I was driving past the garden centre because I went out over the New Year's Day, and Tony was in a garden centre on New Year's Day, and I weirdly drove past it, and I don't know what it was, and something in my mind told me, don't go in that garden centre. And I'm glad whatever told me, Tony was in there. No, Tony was in there, and he was looking at all the seed potatoes, and he'd sent me a message, but I didn't see it until I got home. And this year I want to go to a garden centre and they're all in the crates and I want to be able to look at the potatoes, and I already know that there's no point me sitting here and saying I'm just doing Charlotte potatoes and pink fir apples and the main crop, because there's no point me even lying, because that's not going to happen. I'm going to go there and I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go, I got 90 seed potatoes and I've only got a couple of buckets. I got nowhere to plant them, or I got nowhere to put them. So yeah, but I don't know. Chris, what's your favourite potatoes to grow?
We get blight really badly, hence I mentioned Sarpos earlier. But
Yeah.
I tend to stick now with first and second earlies. I don't bother with main crop. They don't make it.
Really?
So yeah, just simple. And also, I'm not fond of all those sort of knobbly potatoes and fancy pantsy stuff. I just want something I can peel easily and get.
You know what? I love a pink fir apple, honestly. I know they're knobbly, honestly, but they are a pain. You know, I use a tough brush, or if you get them out of the soil and you rinse them straight away,
you're all right.
Better.
Yeah.
If you leave them, if you treat them like a normal potato, where you leave the soil on and they let it dry out, it's game over. But I love those in a bit of oil and garlic and roasted. They're absolutely beautiful. They've got such a nutty flavour, the pink fir apples, and they're one of my favourite. But do you know what? I've tried them in the buckets. I've tried them in the ground. The best harvest of pink fir apples I had was in a recycle box. I put 5 pink fir apples in there and they come out gigantic. So maybe
did you feed them? Because I found that when I grown them in tubs, they don't grow massive, but I'd grow them in the ground. But you fill it with homemade compost. You're at the compost bins.
Well,
always getting loads and big potatoes. Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking the back of the polytunnel, even though it's going to get a lot of sun, people would think it wouldn't. I'm going to have the heat radiating out as well. I do get light there, but the watering system that I was talking about, it has 2 zones. So I'm hoping that I can have the second zone going outside and it can water the potatoes. That's my plan to do. So that, because that's another thing that the buckets struggle on, is the water upkeep. And you could choose how much water goes to zone 1 for the tomatoes and how much goes to zone 2. So yeah, there's a few. I've asked the company whether or not I can adapt their system, and they were very happy for me to do it if it was a benefit. And I'm gonna adapt it so that if I do turn the watering system on as well, I can use it as a hose as well. There's loads of things. They're excited about what I've come up with, because they did think that it was a bit. They didn't think to do what I thought. I'm gonna have to increase the pressure, I think. But
is it Tony who cuts the bottom out of his tubs? Has it partly in the ground so the roots can go down to O'Neill, because he's the potato king, isn't he?
Well, I wouldn't call him that, because he keeps the bottoms on his that I know of.
Does he? All right.
But I remember Steve from Green Side Up. He used to cut the bottoms off, and he used to put another one on top, and then he used to have 3 maybe stacked up in top of the main crops. And it was quite a clever idea that he used to have 3 potato buckets, and they all, balanced on top of each other. And he used to be able to have a higher amount of potatoes in the buckets.
Because some will only grow on one level, won't they? So people are aware. Some will grow up the stem and come off, but most,
of course,
some will.
Shall we play Guess the Gardener? Because Linda's writing in the chat, Guess the Gardener. Let's play. Jamie, have you played Guess the Gardener before?
Yeah.
Have you?
I play along on the lives, obviously.
I've never guessed any of them right.
It's always Tony, Chris. It's always Tony.
It's always Tony. All right, I'll do that tonight then. Yeah.
That's where you're going wrong. So this week's Guess the Gardener is, let's upload it. This one is a little bit tricky. I'm wondering whether or not you'll get it. We shall see. So this week's guest the gardener is. Okay. So this is the first hint. I'm making sure that's the right one. Yeah. Okay. So this week's guest the gardener is. Ooh, it's a bit of a tricky one. I mean, look at the face on this. Look at this face on that. He's not impressed by it at all. Honestly, whatever was happening.
I
This
have
one,
no idea.
they're all saying Tony again. Everyone thinks it's Tony. But yeah, this one's a tough one. I have got a second picture which might throw it. I'm gonna wait and see because there is normally one person in the chat that
Can
gets
you blow it up a little, Danny?
not as big as I'd hope, but that's as much as I can do. Yeah. So we're having people say it is Dora, Tony, Claire, Nick. We're having Jane, Sarah, Linda. When Danny forgets the cookies. Yeah, that would be Linda's face if I forgot the cookies. I promise you now. But Linda's always got backup cookies and backup crisps, and yeah, there's quite a few guesses here. This
Steve Digwell.
Get on. We haven't got no children's photographs of him in colour, I assure you now. So I'll give you the second hint as well because let's have a look. So the second one is now this one might give it away.
Sean James Cameron.
Oh, he's a tinker, isn't he? There you are. So this is the second hint. Now this one I think I could see it in this one. What's the chat change there?
Oh, I think I might know. Oh.
Yeah.
Does she own a farm?
No, she doesn't.
Oh.
Wish I owned a farm. Everyone's saying it could be Kerry, JB. It could be JB with that. I mean, he'd look smashing in a nice little bob. So this week's guest the gardener is. God, they're all flying in now. Everyone's saying Gemma, Claire. Bless you, Digwell. You're not that old. He is, honestly. He's ancient, that man. He helped build Stonehenge, that fella.
There's a lot of Claires coming in.
A lot of
I don't think it's Claire.
You know why, don't they? It's because they think no, Claire had a mullet. So this week's is, and a few people have guessed it, and as always, Claire from the Farmyard Garden got it right first time. Sarah from Sundays in the Garden. So Sarah's quite new. I'm not telling you to do this now, but if you are watching this after the live, go over to Sarah's channel. She's 30 away from 2,000 subscribers, and it'd be lovely if we could just get her to 2,000 tonight or tomorrow. So, yeah, go over to Sarah. Sundays in the Garden. She just had a lovely fruit cage from First Tunnels as well. But yeah, thank you so much, Sarah, for being guest the gardener this week. But yeah, they're a bit tough sometimes, aren't they? You know, because you think, Robin, have you been up yet? Have you? I know you've sent them. You've sent them, haven't you?
I sent it.
You might be in a couple of weeks' time then, Robin.
We'll all know now.
Okay, I've got a tip.
Go on.
So if you want to save money while you're seed starting, these Mylar blankets are like $1 a piece.
Are they like the foil blankets you use if you're a mountain?
Put this around 3 sides of your shelving unit that you're growing on.
Great idea.
To reflect the light back.
Yeah.
Keep a little heat in.
Oh, Robin.
Cheap, and they work great.
You know what, Robin? You really need to start your own YouTube channel. I promise you that. I'd subscribe to you, Robin. If you haven't already, go over to Robin's as well and subscribe, and obviously Chris's and Jamie's as well. Robin, it's nearly your 1-year anniversary next Sunday.
It is.
So happy 1-year anniversary.
Oh, thank you.
It's a roller coaster, isn't it? It's a roller coaster.
All thanks to you.
Don't you blame me for that. I was shocked when you mentioned through your year, and I thought, I wonder how long it's been there. So I went back and looked at your first video. I was really shocked, and it took me so many memories back of you when you put those, put things up onto the deck, and I just remember your first video. It doesn't seem like a year already, Robin. It really doesn't. So,
We're
well,
losing your audio, Danny.
Yeah, you're getting a bit quiet, Danny.
can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
There
You
we
know
go.
why, don't you? I've pushed your calendar has pushed over to my mic
Oh,
and turn me down. Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Yes, better.
But well done, Robin, for sticking at it, because it's not an easy ride. But
Have
well
you
done, you.
have you created your own growing area then for seeds, Robin?
Yeah, I mean, I usually just put up one of those insides to the zipper greenhouses, the blow weight,
Hmm.
and do that. But I bought one that's kind of looking like Danny's in the back from IKEA with the glass shelves. It's like $59, and it's here, and that's what I'm going to do for the grow unit. I've got a south-facing window right there in the living room, and I'm going to do a lot of things, right in my south-facing window this year. We go up to a house up in Wisconsin, and it's like 231 miles from here. And all of these things have to go with me. So
Wow.
I don't want to start too much. I start what I have
Wow.
to. The onions, the celery, the celeriac, pretty much.
Impressive.
And
Got a
there's
truck.
me moaning. There's me moaning that I got to take the tomatoes from you 5 minutes up the road in the car. You were like, oh, we just popped to Wisconsin as we always do.
I have a whole grow station up there too with grow lights.
You'll be raided now after you've said this. You'll be raided. You're like Ozark.
It's nothing expensive, it's just,
But I like that on your channel, though, Robin, that you'll show something fancy, but you'll also show something that you'll say, you know what? Don't spend the money. Let's use an egg carton. Linda's the same, honestly. Sometimes I go over there and she got 2 melons in her bra hanging up in the polytunnel, honestly.
No, I haven't.
It's not even... Linda, I didn't say it was you, Brad. It could be Doug's.
I haven't. When have I done that? I have different ideas, but I've never done that.
Linda, is a rumour I started, all right?
Is that one of the tips for this week?
I beg your pardon? What did you say?
I didn't say anything. I what I said.
Does anybody do microgreens?
I have done with sunflower seeds, work really nicely. Do you?
I do. How about you, Jamie?
No, I don't.
Jamie, I can't see you being there with a salad with microgreens on the top. You're not pie and mash boy, you are.
With lashings of gravy over the top.
You are northerner.
What seeds do you grow then, Robin?
The old stuff, especially the old brassicas, old radish seed, whatever. You can get these little mixes at the dollar store.
Yeah.
They're great. They've got, but I got this idea from Audrey, the hemp mats.
I remember that live.
This is a game changer because it keeps everything so clean.
I don't think we can. I've looked. I couldn't see that we could get that. Sure,
you couldn't.
I don't know. I looked once and we couldn't. Maybe we can now. But I remember suggesting microgreens to a few YouTube before, and if you talk about it on the allotment, you'll be shunned. They're not into that nonsense. That's too blooming fancy and all. And you trying to give them the logic that you've wasted a seed to grow a plant this big to go on your salad, they'll bloody throw you out of the plot.
The good thing about sunflower seeds, if you use sunflower seeds, because you get the heads, don't you? What do you do? And they're just massive, unless you leave them for the birds.
And the same with brassicas as well, though. You'll have brassicas, and when you order a cabbages, you'll get 1,000, and you're like, I ain't growing 1,000 cabbages and sprouts. You only want about 10 plants.
Yeah, that is true, actually. Yeah.
Or your seeds just get too old, and eat them in just microgreens.
Yeah.
Plus, you got to scratch the itch to grow something in the winter here.
I agree.
Yeah.
You guys have the pleasure to go outside into your polytunnels and greenhouses and play. I don't.
Yeah. So I do get it, Robin, and I am tempted to try some more this year because I do like putting things on salads. And I tell you one thing that which I absolutely loved. I don't think you might have this store there, Robin, but we have something called the Range. Do you have the Range, Jamie and Chris, in your area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in their seed selection, they do a fantastic seed selection now. They have a packet there called spicy bean shoots. Oh my God, they're like bean sprouts and things,
Right.
but they've got a bit of a twinge to them. All you do is put them in a jar with some water overnight, and then they all sprout overnight. They are absolutely fantastic in like stir fries, but they've got like a bit of a kick to them. Not too hot, but they're called. I wish I had my seed box here right now to show you, but they're like a spicy seed, and they come in a big packet. I think they're about 50p or something. And I just put them in a jar overnight, and then the next day, then I use them in stir fries, or you can put them in salads as well, I suppose. But they are absolutely beautiful. Shall we answer some of the questions? Just quickly go through. Can we start chitting potatoes now? Yeah, you can, as long as they're in light and ventilated. So I'll be getting mine on the weekend, I think. So stay tuned for that video of me buying 6,000 potatoes.
When you get your chits, do you remove some of them?
Now I used to, and I'm gonna hate saying this, but Steve Digwell told me, and I actually believe the old sod. I believe him. He said even if you rub them off, he's done an experiment where even if you rub them off, they'll come back. So unless you cut them out and dry it, but he's just said that I'm just going by. This is one of the reasons why I want to go and buy my potatoes, because I'm going to have a look at them and I'm going to see if I can see as many eyes, as the least amount of eyes or whatever. But I'm not bothered. I think how far can we go when we're counting eyes on a spud, you know? And you know, I do get it. You know, if you want big hefty spuds or whatever, but yeah, I'm gonna start chitting mine now on the weekend when I go and buy them. I'll buy 1,000 of them. What next? Oh yeah, Steve Jiggle says you asked me for paprika seeds. Do you still not want them? I do want them as well. Audrey, you sent me some last year, I think. Audrey did, and also you did, Robin, as well. I think you sent me paprika last year.
I did. I
And
sent you some Almas. I've got some on order for you. They haven't come yet.
Oh, lovely. It was only because I had a problem with them last year, and it was nothing wrong with the seed. It was the issue I had with the polytunnel, and then I had to sacrifice a lot of things when the polytunnel went down, and the paprikas, they didn't come in time. It was my own issue. But this year, paprika, yes, I would love some seeds. So thank you, Robin. And
it wasn't your own issue. You guys had such a poor
horrible year.
season.
They were stunted. They really were.
You didn't have sun. You need sun.
None. You know what? If you look back at my videos, it looks like I had a lovely sunny spring, but I didn't. That was a filter that was put on, and I upped the brightness. You look at my video of what to sow in January, it was pitch black over there, but I brought the brightness up for you all. I wanted to have a cheery video. When are you gonna sow your tomatoes? I'm thinking March. Chris, do you want to answer this one? You're the tomato expert. You could be Tony's the potato guy. You could be the tomato man.
I don't sow mine until probably around March or something like that, and I put them on the radiator, then on a south-facing windowsill. You do them too early, you've got to have grow lights, and then you've got to have the space to house them when they get too big, and you can't put them outside because it's too cold. So
Claire from the Fabia Garden, she had them in her kitchen area on shelves. Honestly, it was like Jumanji. It was lovely crops though, but I agree. If you've got the space, it's fine. If you haven't, they'll catch up, won't they? People get excited about tomatoes. I'm probably going to do mine tomorrow. No, maybe end of February, March time as well. But yeah,
I always have loads. Just chill out about it.
Well, I'm sowing some house tomato seeds this week, and that's only because I have one grow light spare. And I want to see if they will grow okay in here, because they're only a little bush in a pot anyway. So if I was growing a flower bush, I would do the same. So
it's a big thing going at the moment, isn't it, for micro tomatoes? You know, these really small indoor plants. Which
the house tomatoes, I think they're from Real Seeds, and they were fantastic. You get so many on that little. But the only problem is it's densely packed, so you have to literally push them off, and because they are very, very, compact. But yeah, probably March time. Has anyone grown Latvian soup peas? I got loads, but I haven't tried eating them. Have you, Robin? You look like you're a Latvian soup pea lady. Have you ever?
Nope, haven't tried those.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. Any recommendations for tall and productive tomatoes? Anyone?
Well, what do you mean by tall? I mean, any indeterminate one that will grow up to 6-7
Ugh.
foot. I mean,
But
there are
it's
lots.
going to be the ones like what's the old faithfuls that Jamie?
Depends
What
what you
the old
want.
boys do on the plot? What are the ones that they use? What's the farmers?
I've got
What's it
some
called? Gardeners
dreadnought.
Delight.
Yeah.
Really, Gardeners Delight. They always
Mm.
say are amazing for production, and they.
Mhm.
My Dr. Whitey's, the one that I had that was like 2 pounds, 2 ounces
Yeah.
or something. That plant was so productive, and the stalk, it was like an inch and a half around,
That's good going.
and they were delicious. They were delicious.
Because a lot of the heirlooms are not so productive
No.
as, say, the F1s. So I think next year, I mean, last year I grew
I know.
on 2 stems and I got loads, but they were on little F1 honeycombs. But I'm going to do that with the
I'm thinking of trying it this year
heirlooms
since
next
you did
year.
it. So when you did the honeycomb and you let it fork off once, it didn't affect the productivity of it.
I had twice as many. The tomatoes weren't quite as big, but they're only tiny anyway. But
yeah,
there were loads of them. Yeah, and I'm going to try that for the heirlooms next year.
I'll try it as well this year, Chris.
This year and next year.
I keep doing this.
The Castelluto Genovese was also a very productive heirloom.
That's
tomato.
true. That was quite a good one. Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, my lucid gem was very productive. Was yours, Chris?
Yeah, they are quite, aren't they? I think for an heirloom. But it's when you see these big, long trusses of little red tomatoes or big red tomatoes, then they don't compare, do they? So,
Robin, are you going to be doing atomics? Any of the atomics? This.
I was so disappointed with that fusion. Oh my gosh, the most flavorless tomato. I'll stick with the Brads if I do it. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 12 again like I did last year, but I had a lot that I really liked, so I'm going to do them over again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I might not. The fusion's not coming back, and I'm the same. I was really sad about it because I really wanted it to be the next best thing, and it wasn't. But I'm gonna try Brad's Atomics one last year because I felt like last year they weren't as good as previous years. But we shall try. But Chris is always throwing out new tomatoes for you to try anyway. So
I want to try that Cuban salami that you did.
They were really nice. Yeah, they were good. Yeah, well worth trying. Yeah.
There's another question here about. I'm sure there was another tomato question while we're on here. Oh, sorry, Robin. There's a question here as well about the foil. Carrie Anna said, "Would tin foil, aluminium or aluminum to you, Robin, would work just as well?" Sure,
it would. It would reflect the
tears easily, though, mightn't it?
That's really now it will.
These are fair enough. These are very thin, but honestly,
they're tough though,
at
aren't
a
they?
buck or a buck and a half.
And plus, you can reuse
it's one
that
big
as well,
sheet,
can you?
Easy peasy, right?
Yeah.
Where did you buy that from, Robin?
The A store, Amazon.
I think you're right though, Danny. I think they are survival sheets, aren't they, for wrapping around you? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I mean, the way the prices are eating you, I might be in there with the tomatoes myself. I tell you now, honestly, it's bloody freezing in his house. It's either the laptop on tonight and the cameras or the eating. And, I'm freezing you because you got a jumper on you, and I got 3 pairs of socks on for you lot in this life.
I mean, I bought it in a pack of 10, off Amazon.
That's dedication, that is, Robin. Poor Al, honestly.
That's a big 10.
It is. Which is better, cow? Jamie, you can answer this one. Which is better, cow muck or horse muck? Do you use both, Jamie?
I've never tried cow, but I've got donkey and horse, access to that as much as I want. I've never tried cow though, so
I know cow is supposed to be better, isn't it, Chris?
I think it's supposed to be. I think a cow does it have 3 stomachs or something? 4. So it goes through and it gets broken down each time, rather than horse, which is one. So I think I
know cow is better. Like you said, the weed seeds are pretty much eliminated by then, but it's hard to get. And cow muck is a nightmare to get. I remember this is a horrible story of me when I was a child. We used to, where we lived, I don't know if you used to do this, Jamie, at the top, but when they used to dry in the sun, we used to throw them around like frisbees in the field. I mean, I come from the country, do you know what I mean? But we used to, and now I look back and think, so you're telling me that it was a social norm to throw spinning cow dung around that are dried just around the edges, and yeah, how the
Used
other
to
half living.
dig them up for fish bait. What was in them, but yeah,
Oh,
never threw them as a frisbee.
yeah, we did.
Yeah,
You know, come from the valleys, me. Does anyone just not net their veg? I keep thinking I try, but then I chicken out. Don't do it.
I didn't net anything last year. Nothing.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
like people were saying, watch out for the pigeons when you put your pea seeds in and that. And I just thought, if they have them, they have them. I'll see what happens.
Yeah,
Pheasants
I
are fine.
think it's a gamble. It's a gamble, isn't it? Because I put out Asturian tree cabbage because Kerry from Dog in the Plot gave it me at Malvern, and I popped it out in the plot and I didn't net it, and not a pigeon didn't touch it. But I guarantee you, if I really, really wanted that to feed me all through the summer, they'd have decimated it. But that's the thing. I've noticed that it's whether or not you want to take the gamble on them, I suppose, because it is a pain in all the pests we're getting now. It's horrible sometimes we have to net anything. And I do love it when you do like a plot tour and you take all those nets off. And I remember Malcolm Kingswell saying to me once, he flipped all the nets off and he was doing a plot tour because he tried to take all the nets off to show everyone. And he said he was having an anxiety attack because there was cabbage whites flying over this plot, and he was talking faster and faster, and then he was turning the camera off and putting the net back over the brassicas, and then he was shooing them off and then carried on. But
you do when you're filming, don't you? They sort of bounce off
you're
the
watching,
net,
you're watching. And have you noticed, right, you'll put that net on, right, and you'll think nothing's getting in there, and you'll come back, right, and you're panicking then. There's two in there making 11 the top of the net, and you just think, I mean, now they've turned this into a knockoff shop in here. And it's too late by then. It's too late. But you know, I don't know. We can moan about those. I don't know how they get in, but they do sometimes. But yeah, I would say, Debs, don't bother.
Mine were so early last year. Oh my God, when I had the seedlings out.
Always wasn't.
They were out flying.
Really? Now
Yeah,
I found
so
the
April.
opposite. I was still in June, and I remember saying on my videos, "Where are the cabbage whites?" Like they weren't around. I don't know what happened.
They're at my house.
They were at your house.
They came back
with the cicadas.
Tina Welsh has asked, I'm thinking of planting some asparagus this year. Do I need anything special? Chris, have you got
seeds?
No, I did it from asparagus seeds, right? And I was too impatient. I wish I did now, because on my old plot, I'm sure they're growing lovely there now. But I would say
you're supposed to plant them on mounds, aren't you?
On mounds, and then I mixed the mound in the middle. I mixed 50-50 with soil. No, sorry, with manure, like well-rotted manure and sand, because they come from like beachy environments originally. So the more the sand you can give, the better. But they also need feeding as well. So I'm actually waiting for the ground to soften a little bit on a sunny day, and then I put on a good 2 inches or so of compost manure on
then
top.
Then you've got to leave them for ages, haven't you?
Well, I bought 3-year-old crowns. You can buy them 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. I'd if you're going to pay the extra £10 for a set of maybe like 15 crowns or whatever, they're always weird numbers to make you want to buy another one to get it. You know, it's always like 13 or 9 and it stresses me out then, because I'm thinking I was supposed to put 9 in a bed that could fit 10. And then you end up buying more, and then you end up giving the others away. But I've noticed that that you may as well pay the extra couple of pounds and have the asparagus for the oldest you can get. And I think the oldest you can get really is about 3-year-old. And this spring now, me and Cheryl on our plot, we're eager for the asparagus this year, because we've waited 2 years for it. And last year I could have harvested some, but I didn't. You can take a few off, but they're hefty asparagus. Yeah, so I'd say sand, and make sure it's in a well-drained and nice sunny area. But not somewhere where you're always going to be planting and walking around, because once you finish harvesting after about a month or 6 weeks, that bed is you can't use it for nothing. Then you just got to let the fern, and then you have to net around. So you don't want it to be windy there either, because the wind will start knocking the ferns down, and you've got to fence it around a little bit. But funny enough, I'm doing that on next week's video, but preparing for the asparagus bed. But there's a lot of things to put in place, but don't put them in where high traffic areas, because it'll be dead space for a lot of time. But I'm thinking as a YouTuber, because for a normal plot holder, they'd probably be like, "Oh, don't matter if it's there." But for a YouTuber, you want the main front of your plot to be well cropping all year. But I don't know.
Stick them at the back somewhere.
Yeah. Has anyone been successful at growing monkey nuts? Well, I know Linda did. She had loads this year. She had loads of those peanuts, and no, not monkey nuts, but they were like peanuts. Are the same thing?
Yeah, it's a kind of peanut. Yeah.
I did see something on the telly years ago. Some guy up in London was growing them on his allotment quite well. Excuse me.
I know last year we did a challenge for Nanu and Grinches on plot
9.
Do you know what? I haven't seen her for 6 months at channel, so I forgot the channel name. I do speak to Nanu quite regularly, and she's doing really well, and she's returning back to YouTube very, very soon. So yeah, but I know she grew some as well, so it'd be interesting to see how they go on. But I know a few people that grew a couple, but I think I can't remember now. Linda, how did you and how was your nuts?
I did have a few, and I was really chuffed with them because I'd grown a few.
But how many did you put in the bed together and couple out?
Oh, I don't know, because I tried. It was trial and error, wasn't it? Because I lost loads; they just rotted away. Because I put them in the tank, and they were just all rotting. But the nuts I had, I think I'd left them there too long, and I was so excited harvesting them. I put them in my video, but when I went to open them, they'd gone all soft, so they weren't any good. It's my own fault for leaving them so long. But it was so wet. I ended up putting them.
Yeah.
Although I was growing them in the polytunnel, the leaves weren't coming on that well. So I thought, I'll put them outside. And because with all that rain we had, I think that's why they ended up rotting. But I did have some.
Again, they're like a
I left them
thing,
too long. Pardon?
Because I remember once I put 3 seed potatoes in a bucket, and I harvested 3 seed potatoes. I harvested 3 potatoes back of the same size, and they weren't the seed potatoes. I was livid. 3 months they were in that bucket. I was nurturing, and they come back with the same amount of seed.
I think I had that with sweet potatoes one year. Put them in a tub in the polytunnel, loads of leaf, and then these just tiny piddling little.
Yeah.
And you see some people pull out these.
Thank you, Linda.
The first year I did sweet potatoes, they were marvelous. Second year I did them, same thing. Oh, this is going to be awesome. The leaves are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Something ate them all underground.
No.
I'm gonna dedicate some of the bed for sweet potatoes this year. Maybe the middle bed. Maybe, I don't know.
What, in the polytunnel or outside?
They do need a lot of heat, don't they, in the polytunnel? So I'm gonna grow them in the polytunnel. I'm gonna try and get through some of these. What's that, Jamie?
A sweet potato. Would you just plant them like you would a normal potato?
No. So get a sweet potato, and Robin, do you want to explain it better, because you've done it as well?
So you can either buy the slips at the store and go easy, or take a sweet potato and put it in soil about halfway and let the shoots come up. Though they call them slips, and then those little slips are what you want to plant out.
Yeah, you cut them off then, and then you put them in little pots so they root, and then you plant those out. And then, but it's best to do them in the ground in the polytunnel. So I'm going to try it again this year. So fingers crossed. But yeah,
you need to look out for organic, is it? Because sometimes they spray them, don't they, or put something on them so they don't.
Right.
Well, Linda had a sweet potato off. I believe it was was it your friend Linda that gave you the sweet potato slips?
Yeah. Well, gave me the sweet potatoes, and
it was in the cupboard, wasn't it, Linda? It was in the cupboard.
Yeah, they were already starting to shoot. So she gave me a couple of them. And yeah, I started to grow sweet potatoes. They didn't grow very big, but I was impressed that I'd grown some, because they were quite late when I planted them.
Well, Linda,
so I think you need to start them early.
Now you've got the second polytunnel being built in spring. You could have a little bit of we should have a sweet potato off.
Yeah, let's do that.
Game
shall
on,
we?
game on, Linda.
Definitely.
Challenge.
Yeah. Chris, what is the closest tomato plants what's the closest you can grow tomato plants? I have a 10x8 greenhouse.
Well, I divide mine up into 1.5 meter sections, and I grow 6 or 8
Wow.
tomatoes in that, so they're quite tight. But I do prune the leaves up as they get bigger, so you get a lot of air running around the base. So I can't quite do the math for a 10 by whatever.
I think my greenhouse was a 10x8 on the grapevine plot, and I used to have. I think I used to put about 15 to 20 tomato plants in mine, and as long as you said like you keep the foliage. But if you're gonna have a busy summer, don't overplant it because you're not going to be there to trim off all the foliage, and you don't want it to turn into a huge jungle. But
I mean, I'm just thinking my greenhouse, it's a pretty standard small, might be 10 by 8 or a bit smaller. But yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 or so in there. So yeah, get quite a few growing around the edges.
Yeah, I think I did about 15, 16. So it was something like that anyway, but don't overdo it.
No.
Robin, George Martin has said, how's the weather in the Windy City, Robin?
Beautiful sunshine, but really
hang on,
chilly.
isn't that a Calamity Jane thing? How's the weather in the Windy City? Is that right?
So we are windy here, physically windy, but it gets its name from the politics, the Windy City.
Oh. But Calamity Jane did sing that song, though, didn't she? The Windy City.
I'm not old enough to know that.
I am, Robin. I'm 96. Chris, what's your gardening channel? What channel do you have, Chris?
Veggie Plot.
It's called Veggie Plot. I'll put a link to Jamie's, Robin's, and Chris's channels at the end as well, and also Linda's as well. Okay. If you want to subscribe to mine as well, that'd be lovely as well.
Don't forget to subscribe to Dan.
I got 2 guinea pigs to support you, and well, they're 2 dogs, but they look like guinea pigs. Thank you so much, Carl from Plot to Plate, for sending $9.99 to the channel. Thank you so much. Really does help. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for that. I think we've answered. Hopefully we've answered all the questions tonight. I hope we have anyway. If we haven't, I do apologize. We're out of time already. So if you haven't already, make sure you write in the chat, in capital letters, YouTube. So if you've got a channel, pop it in there now. Robin, it's going to be weird. You can write in there now if you want, Robin. It'd be weird you not writing in there. Seems like you always do that every week. So I hope we've answered all your questions. If there was any
a couple in there.
Is there a couple more?
There's a couple in there about asparagus. Do birds eat asparagus? I don't believe they do.
No, so I don't have any problems with asparagus at all.
It says, is it vulnerable to pests? I think they're pretty good, aren't they?
You are right. Sorry, I can see those now. Apart from asparagus beetle, but I've never had a problem with that either. So you can have it, but I've never had it. So yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on. Next week, I don't actually know who's coming on next week, to be honest. I'll have a quick look now because it's been a crazy week. So next week, I really am sorry about this. Next week it is Jane Kelly's on, Scott from Gardener Scott's on next week. George Martin said you have a channel. Yes, this one. And also, so next week it's going to be Gardener Scott, Jane Kelly, and Jem from Jem in the Garden. So she hasn't been on for a while, so we'll get a good update from her, how things are going on. So next week, so hopefully that'll be a good one as well. Thank you so much, Robin, for coming on. Thank you so much.
You're
welcome. Chris, we need to arrange the tomato special, and I think we're going to do a potato special this year as well. So I might ask Tony on if
what does he know? He don't know nothing.
If he'd pay me £50, I'll allow him to come on, I suppose. Thank you so much, Linda, for moderating as always. The backbone of this channel. The backbone of this channel. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on. This is where we all do the wave. Again, thank you so much for all the support you've given over the year, and hopefully this year for everyone will be really productive. And thank you so much to everyone. If you all want to give a wave now, like family photo.